Hello crafty friends, it's Donna here, and I've got a cute little gnome card for you today that is easy as pie to make. I'm going to be using two different 3D embossing folders, Simple Dots and Ben's Plaid, and the gnomes from these Rainbow Garden Cutaparts. To begin with, I'm going to Inkblend onto a piece of cardstock. I'm using Peacock Feathers Distress ink and a nice big brush so that I can work a little bit faster. And I'm laying the ink down heavier on one side of the paper and then fading off to the other side. Once I'm happy with my ink blending, I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine with this Simple Dots 3D embossing folder. Because I've now got colour on my paper, it matters which side is up, so I'm just feeling that embossing folder for the raised dots to work out which way up to put the paper. And you can see the beautiful dimension that the 3D embossing folder gives to the cardstock. I also ran another piece of cardstock through the Ben's Plaid 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to use that for the bottom of my card. The next step is to cut these pieces down to size. I'm eyeballing this piece. I want it to be the ground, and so I've settled on 1.5 inches for no particular reason other than that pleased me. And I'm just cutting a little bit off the edge so that it will sit on my paper with a border. I'm also cutting 1/4 inch off my ink blended sheet, but I'm cutting half of that off each side so that I take away that dark edge from where I blended that ink. Next, I'm cutting this down to size. Again, basically eyeballing it. It needs to be bigger than the remainder of the card so that it can slot under my other piece. And I just need to work out how much white sky I want showing at the top. When I stick these down, the layers will be uneven, so I'm just adding another little piece of card behind my ground. And I'll attach that with double-sided tape because that was the adhesive closest to my right hand when I made this card. I don't know if anybody else has the same system for their adhesives. When I layer this down onto the card, I'm placing down my coloured sheet first, making sure I have an even border around the top and the two sides. Then I'm going to add the ground piece on, placing it so that I have the same border at the bottom that I have at the top. Next, the gnomes. These come from a set called the Rainbow Garden Cutaparts, which has all kinds of rainbow creations that you can cut and use, but for today I'm choosing just the gnomes. They're quite easy to fussy cut, especially if you leave a little margin around the outside, and I've cut them in a range of sizes. The next job is to lay them onto my card in an arrangement that pleases me. I would really like to have 5. I like to have an uneven number, and I felt like 3 was not quite enough. But no matter how I tried, 5 looks like they were crammed in like sardines. And so in the end, I've decided to cut another smaller gnome, just to help with the proportions. Once I had that cut, everything seemed to come together a lot more easily. I'm going to stick these gnomes down with some foam tape. I'm using some little foam squares from Express It and putting them all over the back of the gnomes. Where the gnome has its feet hanging down over the ground, I'm leaving a little bit of a gap before the first pieces of foam. And once all my gnomes are down, it's time to think about a sentiment. I'm using the Bright Days Ahead embossed sentiments, and I loved this welcome to the neighbourhood. But we don't have anybody new in our neighbourhood, so it seemed like a little bit of a waste. And so I played around with a bunch of different sentiments, and you can see that because of the rainbow nature of these gnomes, any colour works beautifully with them. What you see on the desk here is the remainder of my Bright Days Ahead cut apart sentiments, and I just keep those in a folder, pretty much all cut apart into strips to make them easier to access. I'm going to pop that up with some foam squares as well. And that's it, the card is done, as simple as that. I hope you've enjoyed these gnomes. I look forward to sharing more cards with you soon. So feel free to like and subscribe if that's your wish. Bye for now.